All right, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Is It Fun podcast. We haven't done very many. We are lazy. Get over it.
It's difficult.
Yeah. So this week we've got a few things to talk about. I'm pretty sure everyone has heard about the Final Fantasy release that happened over the past couple of weeks. Final Fantasy 15 is now out on PS4 and Xbox because people still have those apparently.
They are actually up in sales the last few months, Greg. Don't be negative.
Yeah,
but you're right. It's a terrible system.
Yeah. And I think we're going to talk a little bit about the Pokemons, the new Pokemon on the DS. That's going to be Sun and Moon. And I think finally we'll touch on a couple of new releases that's yet to come out, like The Last Guardian, and maybe something else if we feel like it. Sound good to you, Trip?
Sounds like a wonderful plan as far as I'm concerned.
All right, so we'll open it up with Final Fantasy because that was a game that was in development for, I want to say 10 years, right?
Mm-hmm. I believe it was originally announced in 2006.
That's a decade.
That is 1 decade's worth of development for that game. Yes. Actually, it was announced in 2006, by the way. Development could have started up to a couple of years prior to that, I'm guessing.
Yeah, so just to kind of put that into mind perspective, a decade.
Let's say we've been waiting for it for a decade. Yes, 10 years of changes in technology and advancements and everything have gone into this game.
And so that's just a mind-blowingly long time. Now, they did release, 13, 2, and 3 during that 10-year period? Or did they? Or was that all done?
No. They originally announced 13, and I thought they announced all 3 of those. They announced Final Fantasy 13, Final Fantasy Versus 13, which was Final Fantasy 15, and Final Fantasy Type 0 now, which was something else when it was announced back then too. And I believe they announced them close to each other in time. They were all going to be set in the same world of Final Fantasy 13. And they were trying to basically do a lot of world building and then build a lot of different games off that world building instead of having all new games or whatever. They'd all be set in the Final Fantasy 13 universe.
That didn't work, did it?
It didn't. They went in a different direction. They just built multiple games building off of Final Fantasy 13's storyline, which would be 13.2 and 13.3 or whatever, and Lightning Returns. And then, yes, they turned Final Fantasy 15 into its own deal and re-announced it and all that good stuff.
Yeah, and then we did get Type 0 too.
We did also get Final Fantasy Type 0. Was that last year that we got that?
Last year, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's interesting to me that the company spit. Now, I've read a couple of articles and rumors that said that this game in particular, Final Fantasy 15, was basically bankrupting the company because they were spending so much time building it, but yet they were getting no profit back from any sales, and it had taken so long that they couldn't pay any of these developers and artists and illustrators and all this stuff that were contributing to the game for so long because they didn't have the capital to do so. So,
wow,
yeah, it was a long development, but I guess with all that being said, it's finally here.
It is finally here. Yep. I played it all last week. I have 65 hours into it as of last night.
So that's a pretty good amount.
I didn't fuck around, Greg.
I think that the completionist timings on it, like if you look at how long it is, how long to beat, that's a website, howlongtobeat.com.
Mm-hmm.
I think the completionist was about 70 hours, like to get everything.
Really? All right.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've not gotten nowhere near that far, but that's what that site was saying. So
yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like I've wasted a lot of time. I don't feel like I don't feel like I'm stupid or slow. I felt like I found really efficient ways to get around, and the fastest ways to do stuff. And I don't think I did a lot of stupid crap. But you can spend time leveling up your different side skills. You can spend time doing hunts, which that could eat up a lot of time. There's all the side quests, and then there's the main story quest. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not seeing doing that in 5 more hours. I haven't even beaten the main story yet, and there's a lot of side quests I haven't done yet.
Yeah.
And then there's after you beat the game, a lot of other content unlocks. like like 3 or 4 additional dungeons, I think, that are like crazy strong and all this stuff. So I don't really see that happening in 5 hours. But yeah, maybe.
So you think that it's a pretty decently long game?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Like I don't, again, like I don't think I wasted time. I feel like I could obviously do it faster, but you know, now that I know exactly what I'm doing and everything, but I don't think I wasted a lot of time, you know?
Yeah, some people were saying that that the game was very large but very empty. Now, let me preface that by saying I actually love the game a whole lot, so
Yeah.
I don't necessarily agree with this, but I'm just bringing up the talking points.
Sure. Yeah.
It seems as though some people are feeling like it's too short. The story's too short, that you can beat the story in 30 something hours, and
Yeah.
that there's a lot of space but not a lot of meat, and that they're going to well, two things that people have been pointing out. They chopped away the first half of the game and then made it all into a movie so that they would not have to develop that part of the game.
Okay.
And then they cut off the ending so that they could release 3 DLCs to the game to gain a little bit more money to finish the story off. So I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just asking, what does that feel like, something that you experienced? Or
I am not sure. I'm trying to like view where I am in the story and figure out how that's going to progress. Like if it ends like in the next hour of me working on story content, then yeah, I can kind of see where that would come from. But I don't feel like that's the direction it's going in. If it ends really quickly from this, because you can stop the story and like go back and do more side quests, which is what I've been doing. So I feel like that if it ends abruptly in the next couple of hours, then I can totally see how that is. But if not, yeah, I don't know. It all depends. Like if once I've beaten the game, I'll probably have a way different answer for you. But right now, it's just like I'm satisfied by the general flow of it. Now, I had not heard about them turning, you know, the beginning content into Kingslave or whatever, because most of that, you know, that didn't involve Noctis. You know, like not a bit of that involved Noctis. So I think that's interesting. But yeah, anyway, I think that'll be really. I think honestly, I would be really excited to hear that you like if this ends up being. I'm sorry, I keep saying a lot of different shit. If this ends up being a fully fleshed out experience, the storyline wise, and if it ends up being an awesome experience in the end, then I'll be thrilled for additional content. You know, DLC that expands on the story or gives you more to do or whatever. That'll be great.
right.
Yeah, if we end up feeling like, you know, if they give us a short end of the stick or whatever to finish up the story too abruptly, that's going to piss a lot of people off and me off. But I feel like we would have heard that already, like in review titles and stuff, you know, and I haven't seen that yet. You know, people who have beaten the game end up saying, oh, you know, it's got some problems, but it's a good game type of thing. So I don't feel like that's the case.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that I feel like so far, at least anyway, now I'm, you know, baby steps into it, only about 20 hours. But I feel like everything's progressing pretty normally. I think that the story could be huge, right? Like I don't know how it goes from between where I'm and where you are, where the end is, but like right now, you know, I see the openings for a very lengthy and an in-depth story. I mean, if they chose to do that, then maybe they did. I'm not sure, but it does feel like it has the potential, at least, to be fully fleshed out.
Exactly. Yeah, like I'm with you. Like it's one of those things where it's like I don't know if you remember Final Fantasy IV very well or whatever.
So sorta.
Okay.
It's been a while.
Well, like so Cecil or whatever the main character, you know, was a Dark Knight, and he was basically going up against an evil empire or whatever. And the story could have stopped once he beat that evil empire, but then you learned that evil empire was being controlled by another group or whatever. So like that's kind of the sense I'm getting here, you know? Like right now we're going up against literally an evil empire.
Right.
And so if that's it, then that's it. And that's, you know, if they do that well, then that's satisfying. But if it could easily go much bigger than that, and I sense that it absolutely will. But again, that might be DLC stuff later. It might be that, you know, you close the story out with a nice ending here, and then book 2 starts, and shit gets even more real or whatever, which I'd be thrilled to experience. But again, like I deny it over and over again, but I'm a fucking fanboy. I can't help it. You know, like I end up being super optimistic about stuff, and like, you know, like but hey, I end up enjoying stuff more than a lot of people do, I think, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine with, you know, being optimistic about the way that they did their shit.
Yeah. So before we get too much more into that, let's talk a little bit about the details, the nitty gritty, like what's fun about it. And I'll start here by saying that I really love chocobos in this game. I think that riding chocobos, as silly as it is, it's probably the funnest thing that I've been doing. You're just riding around being crazy. Now, don't get me wrong, they're not as fast as they could be,
Sure.
but because the world is so huge.
Yeah.
But I definitely enjoy all the ambient stuff that they did to make chocobos great.
Yeah, absolutely. I do agree with that. I think they are a fun little. I don't know, like they feel, I don't know, I don't want to say realistic or whatever. That's because, you know, it's not. But yeah, like it feels really cool to ride around with your bros. But yeah, I agree with you. Chocobos are fun. They certainly are fun. What color is your chocobo, Greg?
Well, it's white right now.
Sure, pristine white, as it should be.
That's right. Yeah, but what about you? What are some of the things you really like?
Well, I mean, with the latest Final Fantasies, it's always been like about the battle. You know, that's most of the gameplay type of thing. Like in earlier Final Fantasies, it was like Final Fantasy VI. The battle was fine, but it was a lot about the exploration. You know, you had like 1,000 different things to discover. You had a really awesome, well-developed characters and stuff like that. It was the story. It was the exploration. It was like the side quests where you find, you know, the ghost train, or not the ghost train, but like the dream world or whatever, where anyway, there's a ton of different stuff in Final Fantasy VI, a billion different things. In later Final Fantasies, it's become more about the battles though. And this one is no disappointment at all. They're fucking insane and fun, and you're bouncing around the screen and teleporting here and there, switching up weapons, throwing magic out there every once in a while. So yeah, so I definitely think the battles like are the first thing that stand out to me. Like, you know, you walk up to a group of enemies and hit a couple buttons and just drill your way into the middle of them and just wreck shit for like 45 minutes, and then, you know, you're done. It's great.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun. So do you have any feelings on the soundtrack? Because my take on it, and we'll see if you agree here, but they give you the option to play any of the old Final Fantasy scores. I mean, all of them, literally, including the MMOs and everything that they're in the game. So while you're driving around in your car, you can listen to whatever tracks you choose to. And there's a nice little control scheme for that. And then even you can buy a MP3 player. And while you're out running around the world or whatever, you can listen to whatever tracks you want to. Now, I love that because I'm a fan of all the other games, and it's a great nostalgic feeling for me. But at the same time, some of the epic music that I grew to love is somewhat absent from this game, like its own music. It definitely has the other music, but I'm saying if you're not using any of that, it's almost just ambient, slightly understated scores, right? I mean, do you have any insight on that?
I'm trying to think of like some of the music that you experience in it. Like I think the opening credits music, not the opening credits music, that's not the right phrasing. The splash screen, you know, the main menu music. I think that's really solid. I've been listening to it for forever on my PlayStation 4 theme. For like 2 or 3 months or whatever, I've been listening to it. And so there's that, which I think is a solid track. Battle, I think, is a solid track, but at the same time, it gets a little old. Like, to me, like I feel like most Final Fantasies or most RPGs lately will be like, you'll get a certain battle music for the first half of the game, and then after some story event, you'll start getting a different type of battle music because they know you're going to hear that over and over again.
Yeah.
And so yeah, like different groups have tried different things. Like they'll be like the exact same actual note progression, the same music technically, but like in battle, the normal like field music becomes like heavy metal or whatever, you know, like it's basically a heavy metal version of like the field music that was like flutes and harps or whatever before. That's a terrible example, but you know what I mean. Anyway, so like in this particular case, yeah, like I kind of agree with you. I don't love the soundtrack like I have almost every other Final Fantasy I can think of, you know?
Yeah. It seems like a big point for them to miss on, right?
Yeah, like I kind of agree with you there. Like I have purchased the soundtrack for Final Fantasy 6, Final Fantasy 12, Final Fantasy 10, Final Fantasy 10 2, like a ton of different, just because they're so amazing music. Final Fantasy 13 I purchased, like just immediately I thought about purchasing them once I played the game for a couple minutes. I was like, holy crap, this is awesome music. I have to have this, forever. But yeah, Final Fantasy 15, not so much this one. Didn't even occur to me. Didn't even think about it. So I guess that's everything that matters.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is with the pre-order on the PS4 at least, you get the soundtrack, right?
Yeah, exactly. They give it to you. I
And
have no interest in going in there and looking at it. No.
did not even open it up. Yeah, I was just like, I don't even know what would be here. Some Afro Man track or something. I don't know.
But to be fair, the game is dense. Like the game is complicated. Like there's a billion little things I'm noticing. Like the guys talk to each other constantly. Like there is very much this like social rapport between your main character and the three supporting characters or whatever. So like I almost feel like if the music was, this is a dumb thing to say, but I feel like if it was too good, it might almost subtract from that. So like the music is kind of like more backgroundy. So I kind of want to, I'm thinking about it now, I kind of want to listen to the music just to see if it's better without that, without them there, without them like constantly throwing like either drives back and forth or random comments back and forth, trying to make jokes or whatever. Maybe the music is better than we think. We just don't notice it at all because it's, very, very background compared to the characters themselves.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe we'll find out that the music is better. Maybe I'll take a look at it and listen to it on my PS4 sometime since I have it. But yeah, the added feature of all the old music is just almost too good to pass up. Because if you don't have some favorite that you're listening to while you're running around, then I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah, Final Fantasy 12 is mine. Easy peasy.
There you go. Yeah, I've been listening to, and I didn't even really care for these games a whole lot, but the 13 music.
I love 13. Yeah, 13 is one of my favorite soundtracks. I think it's really well done.
Music is good. All right. Well, carrying on from that, Final Fantasy 15 is out. I recommend playing it if you're any fan at all of any of the Final Fantasy games. You absolutely should check it out.
Be aware it's not a perfect game. It is. You will see some like glitches, and some other like problems that I think. I mean, again, it's just such a densely packed game. There's so much to it. So like, I think like, they just couldn't get everything right in the time given. But yeah, I would definitely suggest someone pick it up if they like it.
In the 10 years plus.
Yep.
I know that's
here and there.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a little bit of a criticism there, but we can't. I mean, as a game development company, you can't wait 10 years for title releases.
Yeah, I mean, and I agree with you, and I think that's really like hurt them a lot. I wish they hadn't announced it at all. But at the same time, there was a ton going on behind the scenes of that. I bet they could write a book with all the craziness that went on with that title's development.
Sure.
It was along with another series at once. They've come out with multiple demos and videos that we've seen that do not resemble what we have today, like all over again,
Right.
So like, I remember one fight with like a Bahamut in the middle of a city. And you're not going to see that shit because we've already been through any of the cities that would have done that, and there was no Bahamut there.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Behemoth, not Bahamut. I do that every time. But that they've changed. They've had to change up so much on it. But yeah,
it's got to be aggravating. But I hopefully, we'll get either some. I mean, obviously there'll be some DLC to this. Do you think this will be the first title where they revisit the same world and continue on with additional, like a next main entry is what I mean?
No, I do not think Final Fantasy 16 will take place in Eros or whatever the hell this world is. Yeah.
Sure. So it'll be a whole nother reboot like it always is.
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't at all think that they'll do that. I think they will come out with a hefty amount of DLC to round out the story maybe, but I don't think that we're going to get, I don't think 16 will do that. Assuming we get a 16.
Yeah, assuming we do, and assuming that we're not all 10 years older by the time we do get it.
I know, man. Jeez. But
we're running out of Final Fantasy times,
We are, yeah. Damn.
We're never going to get to Final Fantasy 30, which is XXX.
Yep.
At this rate, we'll never get there.
It's gotta get there.
Cool. All right, so moving on. Let's another huge title, which maybe a different genre, but maybe a lot of the same people enjoy this as well. I know I do. Pokemon.
Pokemon's. Yep.
Pokemon's is released on the DS a couple of weeks ago. Um, and I have to say, just my initial impressions after I've put 20 some odd hours into that as well, I really like this Pokemon. I mean, it's very familiar, very much like home. Like there's no huge innovations, but it's a lot of fun.
Yep. I mean, they have like a tried and true formula that's real tough to fuck up. Like you have these, if you go on Android or whatever, you'll find like some completely off the wall, like completely stolen copies of Pokemon. You know, like they aren't called Pokemon, they're called something else. But you get monsters and you fight other monsters and you level up your monsters and you get more monsters and blah blah. And like, you know, it's I love the crap out of it. Like I'll put like 40 hours into one of those without even realizing it. It's just they're such a good setup. But yeah, they really hit the nail on the head with that formula.
Yeah. So what'd you pick up, Sun or the Moon?
I got Moon because I always get the one that I think the less people are going to get.
Yeah.
Which is yeah.
Surprisingly, I also got Moon. So
Yeah.
maybe your theory is not 100%.
No, but I mean, if you look at the numbers, less people got Moon because I checked beforehand.
Oh, I don't know why though. Moon just looks cooler, right? Like I don't know.
I don't know. Like I always assume that whichever one appeals to me is the one that least appeals to everyone else, and that's been the case for every Pokemon release so far. I've always gotten the less popular one.
I don't even think we really need to go into the details of Pokemon. It's been around for so long, and
Absolutely
their games are all pretty much the same. But it's definitely worth. I mean, and you know, something I was reading about was that the combined playtime of this Pokemon is longer than the Final Fantasy.
Well, I mean, again, that I don't necessarily agree with your findings on the playtime for Final Fantasy, but yeah, like this Pokemon or whatever, there's, you know, I don't really know what else is left, but I just finished the main storyline in this one. And I assume there's going to be some Elite Four process near the end because there always is. But yeah, like that's I think all I would really have left before I was finished, and I've only put like 40 hours into it.
That's still a lot for a good 3DS game, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a very very solid game. But yeah.
So if you are spending time between now and the holidays, and if you're coming up on a long Christmas break, you have Final Fantasy available to you. You have Pokemon's.
Yep, Pokemon's.
And you will soon to have The Last Guardian, which,
oh boy,
yeah, this is going to be a tough one. I feel because I am a fanboy of that studio.
Yep.
And I love Ico, and I love Shadow of the Colossus too, way more than the other one, but
yep.
Or Shadow of the Colossus also
as well.
Yeah. And this game has been almost what we thought was vaporware, right? I didn't really ever think this was going to happen.
I think it's another 10-year release. Like I think it's been 10 years since it was announced.
Crazy amount of time in between Shadow of the Colossus. Because I played Shadow of the Colossus with you back when you first bought your house in Kennesaw.
Yep.
Forever ago.
I didn't even have furniture yet, and we were like chilling on the floor playing Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah. So that was many years ago, and so now we're finally getting the release. When they announced it at E3, I thought, yeah, maybe not. Like maybe it won't even come out. But apparently it's tomorrow.
I don't even, that's weird. Like, I don't care about, first off, let me go to that. I don't give a shit about this game. Like, I look at this game with a little kid and his pet gigantic dog griffin creature, and I could not give less of a shit about this game. It looks like something that would bore the absolute crap out of me. That being said, I bet it is really exciting for a lot of people. Like, you liked Ico or whatever, right? I played that game for maybe 3 seconds for just completely turning that shit off because who gives a crap? Let her die. But yeah, like what all do you enjoy about that type of, like, it's a puzzle game, right? It's basically a puzzle game.
So yeah, they have a weird take on puzzles, and there's going to be a lot of that. It's going to be a lot of platforming, a lot of jumping around, a lot of climbing, a lot of figuring out stuff. But really, for me, both of the previous two games, it was the atmospheric quality mixed with the soundtrack, right?
Okay.
So the score for both Ico and Shadow of the Colossus was what I consider really well done. Shadow of the Colossus 2 in particular was I mean, essentially the game just says, okay, here you are in the middle of this vast, and at that time, Shadow of the Colossus was a huge world. Now, obviously, not that huge.
It's gotten a lot smaller with other games that have come out. Yeah.
Yeah, but at the time of release, it was just like, here you are in this massive world. Here's your horse that you travel on, and go. There was no tutorial. There was no anything. There was just some ambient music going, and your main character never says a word.
Yep.
You know?
He's not chatty at all. You just hold your sword up and follow the light. That's it.
Yep. Yeah. So I mean, something about that, I don't know. Just, I mean, it was a good experience for me. Maybe just the time in my life, but that low key style of not forcing something in my face, just saying, look, here's a pleasant world, go explore it.
Yep.
Was nice. Now, will this game be like that? Probably not. This is probably going to, adhere more to the Ico kind of storytelling. It's probably not going to be Shadow of the Colossus 2. So that's kind of a letdown. But at the same time, I think we will get some really nice visuals. I think there'll be a lot of good platforming, a lot of good puzzles to solve. I hope the soundtrack's going to be great.
I did not think about that. Yeah, the soundtrack on those games really are crazy stellar. Like Shadow of the Colossus still has like some of the best soundtracks, I think, for any video game ever. So that really, like, just the ambience and emotional, like, just the way that studio does that sort of thing. I think they really do a good job of that. So now that I'm kind of thinking about it, I might watch you play it. That'll be the best I'll do. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I mean, because you can enjoy those games like that. I mean, because if the atmosphere is what gets it, it's not going to be some heart pounding gameplay. The control scheme's probably not going to be great. It's probably going to be buggy, just like every other one was. Mm-hmm. You're probably going to try to climb onto the back of your little griffin bird and fall off 1,000 times and be like, why the fuck does an R1 work?
Yep.
But because
like, I was holding it, and then you hold it up to your friends, show them that you were holding it down the whole time.
Yeah, and you're still falling to your death. So, but yeah, so there'll be that. But overall, I'm hoping for a really nice single player experience, right? Like that's kind of all I can hope out of that. And since it's been so long, I would like to say, if we're waiting so long for these games, then they've got to be groundbreaking. But that's simply just not the case. It's just these studios' bureaucracy and crap getting in the way to releasing these things. I mean, this game could have been released years ago. Like, I don't think it's so hard to code that this was a 10-year endeavor.
No, yeah, absolutely. Like, I think it turned from like, they had the money for it, and then, they have to put this on hold. All you people are going to be put on another project for a while. And then, like, same way we see every day at work, it's like, other things were found to be a higher priority because they were more valuable as a marketing feature or something, blah, blah.
Yeah. And the real question I have here is, how is there anything more important than making Shadow of the Colossus 2? I don't understand.
I think, honestly, they must have ran out of monsters, because I think they covered their bases the first one around. Like, what else are they going to make? Like, there's no other monsters left.
You could just redo it, rehash the same monsters, maybe slight changes, give an extra horn or something. It'd be fine.
The only thing I can think of is that they didn't have a monkey. That's the only thing we didn't have to fight.
Yeah, that's true.
But would you have taken that one seriously? I barely could handle the horse.
The horse was
fucking ridiculous.
Pretty funny. The horse is pretty funny. But yeah, so go out and pick up The Last Guardian 2 or The Last Guardian.
Yes, just
but only if you want to. Only if you have an affinity for those games. I mean, I don't think this is a huge AAA thing that I suggest everyone goes try.
Yeah. Like, I would say, I don't know, like, if you played the other games, but I mean, again, it was 10 years ago. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think they're definitely worth a look. See how reviews do, and look at maybe some gameplay footage just to see if that's your type of thing.
Here's probably a better idea. As opposed to spending a full $60 for The Last Guardian on PlayStation 4, go to the PS Store and get the HD remake version of Shadow of the Colossus and play that.
Good thinking.
And just play that, because it's a lot cheaper and probably going to be better.
It was a good game. Yeah.
All right, Trip. Anything else coming out crazy? Any other big news for all these avid fans that listen to us?
Man, like, everything exciting is going to be February, I think. I don't think there's anything in January. The Tales game is going to be February. Zero Horizon, what's it called? Horizon
Zero Dawn, I think.
Yeah, the whatever that one was. I think that's going to be February. All the stuff I'm excited about, I think is in February. I can't think of anything coming out in January.
Yeah, I think we've got enough to do us through the holiday year.
Hopefully, gosh, hopefully.
I think, well, yeah, because if you think about it, right, we've got, all the games we've talked about, of course, and there's a few others, but that's plenty of stuff to keep you busy for a couple of weeks over the holidays to get away from your family.
Yep, I agree.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, until next time.
Thanks, guys.
See you later.